Hey guys! Welcome to Manhwa Empire!
Get ready, because the secrets within these academy walls are about to be exposed. Half suspenseful, a sudden, overwhelming pressure descends upon the area, as if the very atmosphere is screaming in agony. Standing amidst the swirling chaos, a lone figure remains unmoved, watching the unfolding destruction with a chilling gaze. The tension reaches a breaking point. With a voice laced with pure authority, the command is issued, "Say it again." Since suspenseful, a sudden, sharp movement breaks the silence, catching everyone off guard. The two women freeze, their eyes widening in pure shock, as they realize something is terribly wrong. As the heavy footsteps approach, a sense of dread settles over the room. What could be coming? Sure, tense. The atmosphere thickens as a heavy silence falls over the room, the weight of an unspoken insult hanging in the air. Intense. A sharp, piercing question cuts through the quiet, challenging the very identity of the man standing before her. Harsh suspenseful. The accusation of being a fallen noble lingers, setting the stage for a confrontation that could change everything. Chaos erupts in the hallway as students scramble, desperately calling out to their instructor to follow them through the unfolding madness. The atmosphere thickens with dread as the group moves quickly, eyes darting around, sensing that something is deeply wrong. The professor freezes, her eyes widening in pure disbelief, as the weight of the situation finally begins to sink in. A sudden, sharp movement catches everyone's attention as a gloved hand reaches out with startling speed. A desperate cry pierces the silence, calling out a name that sends a wave of panic through the room. The tension is palpable. As the name echoes, the weight of the situation begins to sink in, leaving everyone wondering what happens next. Get ready, because things are about to get chilling. A new shadow is creeping into the academy, and it's not just any legend. It's a ghost story coming to life. The atmosphere shifts as whispers of the supernatural begin to circulate, threatening the peace of the institution. But as the truth starts to surface, a sudden, sharp realization strikes, leaving everyone on edge. What is truly lurking in the dark? The atmosphere in the hall grew heavy as a sharp, knowing remark cut through the silence, leaving no room for doubt, confirming the exact words that were expected. The revelation sent a wave of realization through the room, catching everyone off guard. But as the truth settled, a sudden moment of confusion took hold. What could possibly be happening next? A bead of sweat rolls down his face as the truth hangs heavy in the air. The accusations are hitting close to home. With a steady gaze, he finally confronts the shadow of his past, admitting that the rumors of his fallen noble status are true. But he isn't finished. He asserts his new identity with authority, reminding everyone that while his title may be gone, his position as a professor remains unshakable. The tension in the room was suffocating as a sharp accusation cut through the silence, claiming that recent words were a direct challenge to the professor's authority. With eyes narrowed in defiance, the challenger stood their ground, demanding to know if anyone dared to disagree with such a bold statement. But then, a sudden shift in tone followed. A reminder was issued that despite the friction, the student is still young and struggling to adapt to this new, harsh environment. A sudden gasp breaks the silence as the truth begins to surface, leaving the young man momentarily speechless. The blonde student stands firm, her gaze piercing. She decides to let this mistake slide as a mere warning, treating the verbal blunder as nothing more than a slip of the tongue. But the mercy ends there. She makes it clear that the real consequences are coming. Disciplinary action is inevitable for the harm caused to their classmate. With eyes full of worry, the man checks on his companion, his voice trembling as he asks if she sustained any injuries during the chaos. A small, hesitant denial follows, and a wave of relief washes over him, momentarily easing the tension in the air. But the peace is short-lived. Shifting the responsibility, he leaves the remaining tasks in the hands of the instructor, leaving the young woman stunned and breathless. The atmosphere in the hall was heavy, as a sudden realization began to ripple through the crowd. A chilling thought struck. The prestigious professor actually knew who they were. Panic set in as the student wondered if attending a single lecture was enough to blow their cover. In a vast hall filled with elites, he felt like nothing more than a shadow. Just another face in a crowd of greatness that he was never meant to be a part of. To the powerful figures surrounding him, he was completely invisible. An ordinary commoner lost in a sea of importance. But beneath that unassuming exterior, a hidden truth was waiting to be revealed, threatening to shatter the very foundation of this prestigious academy. A single, powerful declaration echoed through the halls. Everyone is equal. The young man stood there, his gaze fixed, as the weight of those words settled over the academy. But beneath that calm exterior, a secret truth remained hidden. His first impression was nothing more than a terrifying, scary professor. A profound realization begins to take root as a newfound sense of certainty settles in. The weight of doubt vanishes, replaced by an unwavering conviction to follow his lead. With eyes burning with resolve, she makes a silent vow to give everything she has. Under a vast, starlit sky, the world seems momentarily at peace, unaware of the shadows lurking in the dark. But for one man, even a quiet night offers no respite. A sudden wave of pain strikes, forcing a groan of pure agony. As the light fades, a mysterious figure emerges from the darkness, leaving us to wonder, what secret is he hiding? The atmosphere in the room suddenly shifts as a heavy silence falls. He stands there, eyes narrowed, sensing a presence that shouldn't be there. Every movement is calculated, but the tension is rising. A subtle movement in the shadows suggests that someone is watching his every move. As he reaches for the object, the true danger begins to reveal itself. What is he hiding? And what will happen when the secret is out? A sudden, violent impact shatters the silence, signaling that the piece is officially over. The air vibrates with the force of the strike, leaving no room for hesitation. As the dust settles, a familiar face emerges, caught in the middle of this unfolding disaster. A heavy sigh escapes as the tension begins to fade. He realizes just how close he came to disaster, realizing he only survived this encounter because of a hidden advantage. But the relief is short-lived. The sudden chaos of the crowd has left him reeling, questioning why such a massive commotion had to erupt at the worst possible moment. The true danger, however, was internal. As the first signs of a physical breakdown began to surface during his training, he narrowly avoided a public humiliation that could have exposed everything. The grand hall felt imposing, a place of prestige where every movement was watched. For a long time, the pressure of maintaining a secret identity was something that could be managed. Everything was under control. The weight of the situation was heavy, but it was a burden that could still be endured. But then, disaster struck. In the middle of a critical moment, the symptoms began to spiral out of control. Just when everything was falling apart, a sudden, loud outburst from a bystander threatened to expose everything. Now, There's no way to even pretend I didn't hear it. He tried to play it cool, convincing himself that his explanation actually sounded somewhat believable. But deep down, he knew the truth. His composure was crumbling, and his expression likely betrayed every ounce of his inner turmoil. The realization hit him like a physical blow. The veal he just finished was the very last one. He might survive for 5 more days, but after that, the clock runs out. The weight of his secret was growing. He knew that within the next 5 days, an incident might force him to reveal his hidden power. Even if he had to resort to extreme measures, he intended to leave a paper trail. He wouldn't let his tracks be erased easily. But the truth was far more chilling. Operating in the shadows like this, it was becoming far too dangerous. A sudden realization strikes like lightning. There is no more time to waste. The need to reach him immediately becomes an obsession. But as the sky remains deceptively calm, the weight of the coming storm begins to settle over the academy. Her whispering. A single word echoed through the silence, carrying a weight that could shatter the peace of the entire academy. The revelation of a werewolf's presence sent a chill down everyone's spine, turning a quiet moment into a nightmare. The young man froze, his eyes wide with disbelief. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. The truth was far more dangerous than anyone imagined. The dining hall was filled with a sudden, chilling realization that left everyone breathless. A terrifying rumor began to spread like wildfire. A werewolf has been sighted. Students who visited the academy yesterday reported seeing a dark, menacing shadow prowling the rooftops through the thick night fog. The rumors were circulating quickly, but for some, it felt like nothing more than an urban legend, a mere ghost story whispered in the shadows of the city. But the skepticism vanished instantly when a chilling detail emerged. This wasn't just a rumor. There were actual witnesses right inside the academy walls. The realization hit like a physical blow. If the danger had breached the academy, nowhere was truly safe anymore. The shadows are shifting, and the truth is becoming harder to ignore. There's a growing probability that something much darker is lurking just beneath the surface. Strange phenomena are beginning to plague the academy, and the whispers of the unknown are getting louder. Everyone has heard the legends, the 7 ghost stories that haunt these halls. But as the tension rises, one question remains: is it just a story, or is something real approaching? The truth was finally coming to light, and there was no way to hide it anymore. The secret was out. With a confident smirk, she revealed her deep knowledge of the supernatural, catching everyone off guard. But as the realization set in, a single, chilling thought began to haunt the room. He quickly tries to play it cool, insisting he wasn't actively hunting for supernatural rumors within the academy walls. He claims his interest was purely accidental, a mere byproduct of a casual conversation with a student. He even tries to frame his curiosity as a compliment. But the truth is hard to swallow. As the tension rises, a sudden shift in topic brings a new, unexpected realization to the surface. The atmosphere in the hallway was light as a student approached the professor with a curious grin, teasing him about his recent performance. The conversation turned to the incredible feat witnessed in the classroom, a revolutionary magic that could drastically shorten spellcasting time. But then, the student demanded the truth, shouting for the name of the secret source code that made it all possible. The atmosphere in the dining hall was thick with unspoken tension. As the group gathered around the long table, a single question hung in the air, demanding an answer that no one seemed ready to give. The truth was right there, waiting to be exposed. As the silence stretched, the weight of the accusation pressed down on them. Is the rumor actually real? The truth was finally coming to light, and there was no denying it anymore. A realization washed over them, heavy with the weight of a reality they weren't prepared to face. The very existence of such a powerful spell seemed impossible. Yet the evidence was right before their eyes. As eyes darted around the room, a heavy silence fell. Everyone was watching, waiting for the next move. A flicker of confusion crosses his face as a sudden, unexplained thought begins to haunt him. The whispers are growing louder. A rumor has already begun to spread through the academy, and it's pointing directly at him. As the student confronts him, the tension reaches a breaking point. The secret he's been guarding is being dragged into the light. He falls into a deep, calculating silence, wondering just how much more he can hide. The atmosphere was deceptively calm as the professor quietly enjoyed his meal, seemingly oblivious to the tension brewing around him. But the peace didn't last. A student's bold questioning pierced the silence, challenging the very legitimacy of revealing such a groundbreaking spell in a public setting. The suggestion of seeking a patent from the magic tower was met with a chillingly indifferent response. He simply didn't care for fame or recognition, driven by a much deeper, more dangerous mission. The reality of his situation is becoming dangerously clear. Without a powerful faction to back him up, others nothing more than an easy target for anyone looking to rob or beat him down. The uncertainty weighs heavily on him. He knows the stakes are rising, especially if the powerful magic tower decides to make their move first. But there's an even more immediate threat. The other faculty members are watching him closely, their eyes burning with a visible, menacing hostility. The tension in the room is suffocating. A single, chilling thought begins to haunt the observer. Could this man truly be the legendary figure known for his lethal gaze? As the realization sinks in, a terrifying possibility emerges. A werewolf is right in front of them. The weight of this discovery changes everything. Under the cold, watchful eye of the full moon, a silent tension hangs over the academy. The shadows of the rooftops hide secrets that could shatter the peace of this very institution. A lone figure waits in the darkness, their heart racing with a single, chilling realization. He's late. Suspenseful. A sudden, sharp sound pierces the silence of the night, breaking the stillness of the alleyway. As the shadows shift, a lone figure stands amidst the towering structures, wondering if someone is lurking in the darkness nearby. But the true danger is closer than expected. A predatory gaze emerges from the gloom, watching every single move. Shocked, a sudden violent impact shatters the silence, catching everyone off guard. The force of the blow sends a shockwave through the air, leaving no room for hesitation. As the dust settles, the true scale of the confrontation begins to reveal itself, and the stakes have never been higher. A sudden, violent movement shatters the silence, catching everyone off guard. The air itself seems to crackle as a powerful force surges forward with blinding speed. The impact is unmistakable, leaving a trail of white light that cuts through the darkness. As the dust settles, the young instructor stands ready, eyes fixed on the unfolding chaos. Suspenseful. A sudden, violent movement cuts through the silence, catching everyone off guard. How aggressive. A piercing scream erupts, signaling that the peace has officially been shattered. Serious, amidst the chaos, the professor stands firm, his eyes narrowing as he realizes the true danger is just beginning. The tension in the room was palpable as the figure stood over the fallen student, questioning their long-awaited arrival. A cold realization set in. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was a calculated move, a prank designed to catch them off guard. With a heavy sigh of frustration, the truth became clear. The question remained, how much longer could they keep up this act of feigned surprise? The conversation drifts, attempting to brush aside the heavy tension hanging in the air. But then, a sudden realization strikes. A familiar face emerges from the shadows, bringing with it the weight of a long, lost connection. The greeting is simple, yet it carries the profound gravity of years spent apart. Under the cold, starlit sky, a presence emerges that commands absolute attention. His gaze is piercing, carrying a weight that feels almost suffocating. But not everyone is caught up in the tension. Some are more concerned with putting scary stories to rest and finding a way to move on. The tension is reaching a breaking point as we catch a glimpse of what's coming next. A terrifying presence emerges from the shadows, eyes glowing with a predatory hunger that promises nothing but chaos. The hunt has officially begun, and no one is safe from the coming storm. Before we continue with the next intense chapter, we have an important announcement for our community members.